Hi YouTubers, welcome back. I'm Horlicks and this is now issue 91 of Build the Back to the Future DeLorean. So, I'm going to film this the best I can because I'm limited to space, so I'm not quite sure how I'm going to film this yet because in this issue we've got a lot to do. We're going to be putting the shell onto the chassis. Before I start, last week I received the replacement LEDs. I've already changed them because if you remember we got these in an earlier issue and they were the wrong colour, they were orange. So I've had some new ones come through and they're labelled wire 20 OK. So I'm guessing the OK is so that the dispatch people know that they're the amended LEDs, but realistically it's just wire 20. So that is already done, and they're the ones that fit into the top of the DeLorean. So without further ado, let's crack on with this issue and we'll get the rest of it wired up and see how this goes. Right, okay, so let's check off the parts and then we'll go from there. So in issue 91 we've got some small parts here. We've got a few screws. Right, so we've got an air filter, which is this part here, and it's got DMC obviously written on the top there, which is a really nice touch. DeLorean Motor Company. So a nice little bit of detail there. We get the air filter base. Now that is this part here. Okay. We've also got another air filter base, which is this angled piece here. Okay. We've got a pipe, which is this here. We've got the 91G, which is a LED wire, which has got two LEDs onto there like so, and then there's a plug on the end. We've got two tabs, cable tabs, we've had them lots of times, and then we've got two panels, 91E and F, and they're made of metal, so that's really nice. And then we've also got some adhesive stickers. We've got 4 of them, and then we've got loads of screws. So we've got some RM screws, and I believe they're new. KM screws. We've got some BP screws, AP screws, and we've also got some IP screws. Okay, so without further ado, let's crack on with the builds. As I say, there is a lot to do, so I shall try and keep this video as short and contained as possible. But we'll just see how it goes. So we're going to need this pipe work that we did in the previous issue. Okay, and we're going to assemble the air filter. So first of all, I'm going to grab my screwdriver because that is always a help. Okay, so we're going to be starting off with some BP screws. And we're going to be taking the air filter, this part here, DWC. And then we're going to place this air filter base on. Okay. And that, I'm just going to check this both ways. That will only go on one way because it will line up with the the posts there, and they're slightly off center, so that will only fit one way. Okay, and then what we're going to do with that is we're going to secure that in with 2 BP screws. Oh, that jumped out my hands. So that's 1 and 2. There we go. So that is that part fixed, and then obviously we've got these lugs sticking up. So with that, we're now going to take this other piece of the base here, which is the angled piece, and we're going to fit this pipe into there. So let me get the orientation of this. So we're going to put that in like so. So the silver part will fit into that key just there, and there is, you can see there's like a keyway there, and then what's going to happen is obviously that's going to line up with the actual key there with the on the silver part, so that's going to pop into there like so. Okay, and then from the underneath we're going to secure that in with an AP screw. So I'm just going to pop that back in there. We'll get an AP. And then if you look at the orientation, that is correct. Let me just get this right. So that's going to go like that, and that's going to go that. Yeah, that's fine. And we get secure that in with an AP screw. And it's a little bit awkward. So I think you need sort of 2 or 3 hands to keep that in. And secure. There we go, and that's in nice and tight. So then we've got something that looks like that. Okay. Next we're going to fix this to this part we've just done, the engine cover, and that's just going to go on like that, and obviously the silver part will come away from this pointed edge here, and then in there we're going to use 2 more BP screws this time. To secure that into place. So that's 1 in. And 2. And then we have this piece that looks like that. Okay, the next step, you'll see this little pin on the end, and we just bring this up, and that on that pin we're going to attach this pipe. Okay, and that's just going to feed on to the pin like so. And I'm not going to glue that because that is on pretty tight. Okay, so with that step done, I'm going to clear a space because we need to bring the chassis over, because we're going to fix that to the top of the engine now. So I'm just going to grab these screws out of the way. Right, I'm going to put this cloth down because we're going to need it later on. So, oh, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to turn it this way because I'm going to need to see down the side. So, obviously we're going to be working on the engine here, and the engine cover, sorry, the air filter is going to fit onto these three holes here. So you've got one there, you've got one there, and you've also got one just in there. And the focus is really bad, isn't it? Hopefully you can see this all right. Okay, so what we're going to do is pop that on, and obviously those three holes on this unit here, 1, 2, 3, will line up with those holes. I'm going to zoom out a bit so you can get a better view. Now underneath, just underneath the engine here on the manifold, I think that's the manifold, there's a hole, and it's going to be difficult for me to show you, but I'll have a go. Right. With my tweezers, just down there, just there, there's a hole in that manifold. You might just be able to see that. That is where the white pipe here is going to plug into when we fit this. So what we're going to do is line up, put that white pipe in, and swivel that round. This is quite difficult. There we go. And then we can line that up there. Obviously make sure these cables aren't in the way. So it wants two of these wires here coming underneath there, and then one around the side. So I'll just line that up. Okay, and then we should have something that looks like that. Okay, right, and I'm going to fit that in with all that together. That's going to be fitted in with IP screws. So I'm just going to grab those out, and there's 3 of those obviously for 3 holes, and then just carefully we'll put these in. Now I just need to move these wires out of the way because I'm getting them caught. See, it doesn't really quite detail the exact positions of these cables, but I'm just going by the picture. So there you go. I think that's all in okay. So that's 1 screw in, and then we're going to secure that down. As I say, we're using the IP screws. Lovely, and that has gone in okay for me. So on here Let me just adjust. The magazine states that 2 of these cables go underneath the cover, so you need to push them aside from the screw hole, and then this one on the end loops round and disappears under there like so. That's what I am going by. Okay, and then once we've fitted this part, we're going to take the pipe that we fitted, and then we're just going to twist that round, and it's going to go onto this pin just here. Okay, I'm going to have to do this down because I can't. There we go. And let me show something that looks like that. So this is really coming together now. That's really stood the engine out. It's made such a big difference, just that on there. Okay, just a little bit of coffee. So what we're going to do next is we need to get some KM screws. I'm just going to pop these IP screws away because I believe that we're finished with those now. As you know, we always get a spare, so I've got one left. So we're going to get the KM screws because we're going to need this for the next part. And we're going to be fitting, we're going to be working on this corner down here. Okay, and what it wants us to do, there's like a cutout on the very edge here of the chassis. It wants us to put the cable underneath there through that gap like so, and then it wants us to turn this over carefully because I don't want to break anything because it's all fragile. Okay, and then we're just here, so we've got the wire coming up, and then we're going to put one of those tabs on to secure the cable in place. Now, as you look at this from underneath, the screw hole is going to be furthest from the exhaust pipe. Okay, so we're just going to pop that tab on. And then with the KM screw, just secure that cable into place underneath there like so. Oh. And I can't see you. You won't be able to see this very well at the moment, just until I've got this in. I mean, it might be easier if you use tweezers, but I think I'm doing alright. There we go. Okay, so we've got that cable just through there. Okay, the next step we're going to do is we're going to work over on the opposite side. I'm just going to turn this back over temporarily. Now we've got 4 wires on this side. Okay, and it wants us to take the red and blue. So we've got red and green there, which is wire 11, that stays up top. We've got 10, which is blue and green, that's going to stay up top. We've got wire 9 or 6, one of the two, that's black and white, that stays up top. So what we're going to do is we're going to unravel them just so they're neat. Okay, so wire 23 we're going to fold over in the same way, and then again we're going to just carefully turn this all over, and then we're going to secure that with another one of those tabs that we got. We only had 2 in this issue. Again, we're going to use another KM screw, and this time again the screw is going to go into the hole furthest from this exhaust pipe, so towards the edge. Okay, we're just going to pop that in. And then just leave that dangling down from the bottom. So then we should have wire 22 and 23 from the bottom, and then that should leave us 3 cables up the top, which I have, so all is good. Okay, next we're going to leave this aside for the moment. Okay, quick change, and we're going to be working on the upper assembly, and we're going to be working at the front here. So what we need to do is fit the LEDs through the front panels. So I'm just going to turn this over carefully. Just be careful with this. Right, so we should have it already have wire 6 or 9. I can't remember. I don't actually know if that's 6 or 9. That should be hanging from the top down, so that should be down below the luggage compartment here. If you've got yours up into the bonnet, then you've got an issue, and you need to push that wire through. There's like a hole. It said it in an earlier issue what to do with this cable, so I think most of you have probably done that, but if you haven't, yeah, maybe look back at your previous issues to find out where that wire needs to sit through, because I think there's like a channel it needs to go through when you're fitting the luggage compartment. So that is already there. So what we're going to do is take the LEDs, and you've got 2 LEDs on a string, but obviously the plug is nearest one LED, so the plug is going to go with this plug here that's already here. So the LED that's nearest this plug will go. You can see there's a hole where my thumb is just here. So I'm going to carefully, without breaking anything, this is really awkward to sort of, we've got so many fragile parts on the DeLorean, you know, I'm too scared I'm going to snap something. So just, you know, take your time. So what we're going to do is carefully push the LED through, like so. And then that's just going to bend around there for the moment. Obviously, wire 19 is going to go with this wire 6 or 9. In the same sort of area, because they'll be connected later on. Okay, so once we've put that through, we're going to use some of the adhesive tape that we got, a bit like the LEDs on the top, and we're just going to secure that into place, the LED for later on. So is there any preference? Yeah, well, it's got the LED facing the front, so that's the way I'm going to do it. I'm just going to put that on there like so, and it's just to keep it in place while we're working on it, really. Okay, so that's that LED put in, and then, as I say, the plug then just, it shows it going sort of like that with the other one. We're going to then run this longer cable. I'm going to tidy that up, make sure that's sitting nicely. So the wire is going to run through the groove along the front of the luggage compartment here, and then obviously the other side we've got the same hole we're going to pop the LED through. Just give it a little jiggle and it will go through. Oh, right. Then you should be able to see that now I've got the LED through that side now. And then again, we're going to secure that down with some of that tape. Just on there, like so. I need to just put a bit more on the left hand side there. Okay, so there we go, that's got that LED into place. Now we're going to turn it back over. And then we're going to neatly run, as I say, this wire in this groove just at the back of this luggage compartment. And then with the remaining, well, no, there's two more bits of tape, but with a piece of tape, it wants us just to secure that cable down there. I'm just going to bend this wire out a bit. Hopefully you can see that. There you go. Just secure that cable down there. Like that. Okay. And then I'm just going to bring the cable through a little bit more. There we go. And the reason I've just done that is because I want to leave a bit of slack both sides, because obviously when we remove these this tape, I'm not sure quite how the LED is going to fit. So you don't want to get so far and realise you haven't got enough cable. So try and make it as even as possible both sides, so you have got a little bit of room to play with. Because obviously, I don't know what's coming up with these later on. So it's best to do it properly now, because soon this will be going on to the actual chassis, and then we won't be able to get to it very easily. So there we go. So that is that part done. Now this is the fun part. This is the fun part. This is what I was a bit worried about, because I'm not sure I'm going to have room to sort of show this on camera, but I'm going to do my best, so please bear with me. What we need to do, I'm going to just remove this tape. I taped up these wires here just for my neatness a little while ago, so I'm going to remove all that for now. Okay, and what we want to do is going to put this upwards like that. Okay, so let me try and adjust. Sorry, this camera's a little bit. Right, that's probably the best I'm going to get, but you'll be able to see what I'm doing. Basically, we've got the car up here, and then we need to bring all these cables through, and then what we're going to do is we're going to bring the chassis down, because this is where we've got to marry it all together, and then we're just going to sit the chassis there. Okay, and then what we're going to do, see if I can zoom in a bit, hopefully that'll be alright. We're basically going to be matching up these cables now. So the ones from the back of the bulkhead here, and then we're going to connect them up to these cables here. So it does start with white, red and white, orange, orange and black. All the cables should match up with colour, so go by the colour. Now, it is telling you to do it in a sort of order, but I don't think it actually matters what order you do this in. So I'm just going to get stuck in and just start connecting these up. Obviously, you've got numbers on them. So this is Y13, and that'll match up to Y13. If you've still got all your labels on, I mean, I was careful to not adjust them or rip them off. Now these are quite difficult to go in, right? It looks like you might think, oh, that's not the right way around, but if you just check the pins, just keep doing it. Because sometimes they're a little bit stiff, so just give them a little bit of a wiggle and then they'll fall into place. Okay, so I've got this wire 20. Obviously that says 20 OK, but OK just means that they were the correct LEDs, because this was the one that we had the issues with in a previous issue. So that's 2 in. Right, wire 4. Wire 2. So yeah, you're just matching up the numbers. Okay, wire 3. And obviously this is connecting up the lights and the doors. We've got the door switches, obviously the LEDs for the roof panel. This is connecting everything up now. So I should have 2 more wires. Which I do, so I've got wire 7 and wire 1. 1 is actually quite a short cable, so I've done that one last. Okay, so I'm happy that all that's connected up. Maybe just do a visual check to make sure that the colours match. So, you know, like orange to orange, green to green, because I have had issues before where they've mixed the polarity up on the plugs, but mine all seems good. So, once all of these wires here are all connected up, we're then going to, I mean this was an earlier step and I purposely missed it because I have seen a build video. This wire 21 you should have left, okay, and it's quite long, and that is going to go through the top. Now I apologise, I can't show you that, but I will show it to you from the top. But where the wires come from the roof panel, there is a hole, and we're just going to put, it's like a rectangle hole, you won't miss it, and then wire 21 is going to feed through that hole, and then just poke out from behind. Okay. Right, so now we need to get the last sticker, and we're going to wrap this round these wires to keep them tidy. So I'm going to straighten these all up. The best I can, and then try and carefully wrap the sticker around those wires, and then see, I've got that there just to keep them nice and tidy in there. Okay, so that's the top of this. I've manufactured like a camera boom, but it's not very strong. So it's causing a bit of an issue. So what we need to do now is carefully marry this up. So I'm going to zoom out again. I don't know if you'll be able to see this. So these 3 cables we've got left at the top here. One obviously goes underneath, so ignore that one. These 3 are going to go through the back of the top here, and then if I wheel this back, there's 2 wires here at the front. They're going to go through the front, through this slit in the front of the where the headlights go. Okay, so I've got longer wires at the front, so I'm going to do that, try and fit them in first. I'll do it, you could do it all at the same time. So holding this, oh, so we're going to put the 2 wires through the front, they're in, and then we're going to tuck those 3 wires here through there we go, through there at the back. Okay, so I've managed to get the 3 wires through the back there, and then as you see the 2 wires go through this opening at the front. So that is the first little step. This is where we poked wire 21 through earlier, and that's just going to sit along the back there. So that's that step done. The next step we need to do is connect these 2 cables on the front corner here. Oh. Okay, so as I say, I'm sorry about these camera angles. But the 2 wires that from the LED we just fitted and the other wire, they're going to connect to these 2 underneath that are already there. And they obviously match colours, so I'm just going to connect them up. And that's wire 6 or 9 and 19. One is blue and white. And the other one is red and blue. Okay, so once they're connected up, it doesn't quite say where to put them, but I assume we're just going to tuck them underneath there. Okay, and once they're all through, we should then be all good to go to lower this all together. Now I'm just going to remove the sticker from this masking tape from the door, so I need to access this door, because I've also noticed when you put this down from the inside, again, I'm sorry I can't show you, the wiring is all caught, so you need to make sure the wiring's down. This is going to be a little bit fiddly. So I'm just getting my hand in to bring these wires down. Get those wires in from the back again because they've fallen out. Getting there, I'm getting there. Ah, bingo. And then they can go up into there. Whoa, right, okay, I think I'm there. Woo! Okay, that has just gone on nicely. We just put them back on the door. I think I've done it without damaging anything. So, I'm just removing the stickers there because we don't need them on there. When we had issues with the wiring on an early issue, we didn't know whether to go by numbers or colours and everything was wrong. I wrote some numbers out on a bit of masking tape, but I don't think they're relevant anymore because we're obviously just going by the colours, so it all worked out. So I'm just going to push those wires down neatly where they need to go. In there. Okay, and now I'll show you what is what. Brilliant. So we've got the two wires through the front, just there, through the slit for the headlights. So make sure they come through. Obviously in this corner, I can't show you because it's all hidden now, we've connected those two plugs that were dangling from underneath here to the ones that were there. So make sure they're connected and tucked in. Then at the rear, we've got the three wires coming through, which will obviously do the rear lights and things. And then that there is the hole, which I said I couldn't show you, for 21, which is a long wire that can come through there, and that's just going to dangle there for the moment. And then I'll see if I can get you a picture inside. If I open the door, what you've got to be mindful of, right, I know this is all upside down for you. You might just be able to see at the top of the bulkhead there. Okay. Let me just turn this light on. Maybe we'll get a good view. See at the top of the bulkhead there. There's some. You can see all the wiring coming through behind the bulkhead, just over there. What happened is my wires got jammed up and they came out and sort of looped inside the car. So when you're putting the top on, just sort of aid those wires and make sure they go down the back, because we don't want to see, like, I mean, I suppose it would add to all the effects inside the car, but they looked a bit messy. So you can just see the wires at the bottom there. As I say, they looped up and came into the car. So just make sure when you're putting that all together that they go down nicely. So I'm just going to pop the masking tape back on, and while this is all together, everything seems to be good. So we're left with the two wires at the back, the two at the front, three at the back. We're then going to use RM screws, and we're going to secure this all together now. I've been waiting to do this for a long time. So For this, I'm going to definitely use washing up liquid, because these are really large screws and I want them to go in nicely as possible. So, oh god, this is heavy. We're going to carefully, let me move you up. As I say, I do apologise for this camera. I promise I'll be getting a proper boom very soon, because I can't cope with this much longer, this camera system. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to turn this over carefully. Try not to break anything in the meantime. Right, here we go. So we're going to do these up with 8 screws. So we've got one here, one here, one here, one here, so there's 4 in the middle. You've got 2 at the back, which are, you just see them there. You've got 1 there, and then 1 there, and then you've got the 2 at the front. So you've got 1 there, just on there, and then you've got 1 that goes into that piece there, and that is the 8 screws. Obviously, while you're underneath the car, actually, just something I remembered. Just double check, which mine are, you've still got wire 23 coming out the bottom of the car and 22 dangling out the bottom. Okay. So I'm now going to start fitting this together, and I'm going to use, as I say, my washing up liquids. I'm just going to put a little bit on the tip of the screw. So let me get rid of this light again so you might be able to see what's going on. There you go. Just going to dip the end into the screw, and that just really does help these screws go in. So I need a bigger screwdriver, because I think, oh yeah, no, take that back, Oria. I didn't think you were going to have one big enough for me, and well, that, of course it has. So that's 1 in. A bit of washing up liquid, and then I'm going to do the next one. Another bit of washing up liquid. I'm going to do one at the front this time. I can't believe it. It's got to a time where we're screwing all this together now. It's amazing. 1 at the front here. Sorry, I know I am off camera. But just the size of this model, you can't get it all in at once. Once that's 2, I'm going to just move this forward. I'm going to do this one on the back on this side. A little bit of washing up liquid. Then I can turn the car over. And then we can do the other side. Do this side. go. Nearly there, nearly there. Right, that is all of them. That is it. We're screwed. In a good way. We're screwed. Cool. There we go. That is that now secure. So, after we've secured all that, oh sorry, we need to turn it back over. We're going to be putting those last pieces on. Let's just put that up there. Right, we're going to be working on the back here. Here and here. We're going to put these last bits of trim on here. Okay, so to do that we're going to be using the AP screws. And they're going to just, they go on quite well, one way. And mine is actually fitting, it's a lovely fit. See if you can see that. So there you go, just goes on like so, and it will sort of follow the contour of the rear panel there. Yeah, do we see that? So I'm going to fix that in with an AP screw. Not too tight. When it starts to slow, that's enough because you're going through plastic. I'm going to loosen that one a bit because I need to swing this round. Okay. Right, that's that one. It took a bit of took a minute to get that one lined up there. Okay, so that is that side done. Although it looks a little bit messy with those screws sticking out, but I suppose you're not going to see it from underneath, are you? So, right, let me just leave this way. So then all we're going to do is we're going to do the other side here. So pop that on. Hopefully those screws should line up. So that's one. That's two. And they're in. And that's it. That's brilliant. So that's those trims in. Try to adjust this one slightly. There we go. And that is them in. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is just pull this wire through, which I've already done. It's saying to leave about that sort of much. And that is the build for issue 91 complete. Okay, so that was issue 91. It wasn't too bad to film, actually. I hope you got to see most of what I was doing. I think hopefully you got the gist. I'm really happy that that's gone together lovely. It was a bit tricky, but it wasn't as hard as I had hyped up. It's, you know, well, not hyped up, but it's not as hard as I worked myself up to think it was. It was actually pretty straightforward, and yeah, I really enjoyed that issue. Got everything, all the electrics together. Nothing broken. So yeah, really happy. So yeah, thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and if you wish to buy me a coffee, there is a link in the description below. I will try and see you next week. Obviously I was late 4 weeks ago because obviously I think it's where my delivery comes. It normally comes on the Friday. It never used to, but it seems to have shuffled forward since they had the warehouse move. So we'll see how it goes. It could be out on next Saturday again, but it'll be. I'll try and do it on the Friday. We'll just see when I get the delivery. So yeah, again, thanks for watching, and I'm going to leave you with some images of the DeLorean so far, and it all links up.